Hey guys, welcome to episode 15 of Aeroland. I missed the record button at the start of this episode, so as you can see I already detailed a few houses and it's like a whole episode I missed out on, and that's a bummer, but I didn't want to start over, so I decided to just continue from here. This is going to be quite a long episode because I am finishing this town as much as I can, at least to the basics, so I can have some nice shots in the cinematic edit I'm going to release after this episode. So I'm going to add as much details as I can before finishing it up. So I wasn't really sure what to do with this area above the toilets, so I decided to make this small awning and it looked pretty good, so I just added 2 more windows and I was satisfied enough. On the backside of the houses I can't raise the terrain anymore because the pathway is already in place. So I decided to just fill this area up with bushes as much as I could, so it just looks like the terrain is higher than it is. So for the upper level of the plaza I wanted to make like a small fence to really separate them. As you can see, something weird is going on with the pathing and all the guests are just simply walking through the walls. Really weird, but it's probably something they programmed. So I tried to fix it by placing a bench and a bin in between, but it still happens every now and then, and I think there's not really anything you can do about that. The same as when you have houses on corners of the path and people will walk through the walls and stuff like that. It's just something you can't really avoid in this game. And creating a shop over here. A pizza shop for food, because this whole area does not have a food place yet. Oh, I started off with an information booth because I wanted to create a priority pass line for the ride I built, but eventually I replaced it with a pizza place because I couldn't really get the priority pass in place, so I decided to skip on that idea. So I'm just covering up the exit building of the ride, and I wanted to fill this corner up a little bit. And as I said in one of my previous episodes, in my opinion, every small village has to have a church, so this will be some kind of a clock tower. Just adding a few more details to this building to separate it a little bit, and then I'm building the clock tower. So this is going to be a small church, kind of. When looking back at it, I should have made like a big hall, so I should have at least made the base like 2x3 instead of 2x2. But yeah, that's it's not that big of a deal. And over here I'm going to build a small extra house to fill up the corner a little bit. Finishing up this building with extra details. I did not really know what to do with this building, so this is like, in my opinion, one of the ugliest buildings I've did. I'm not really sure why, but I'm really not satisfied with how this one turned out. But you can that happens sometimes, so I don't care. There's plenty of buildings that look good, so one lesser looking building is not that big of a deal. The church, however, ended up looking really nice. I'm really satisfied with how this one turned out. I used these cornerstones all along the tower because it just looks super nice, and added a clock on each side of the tower. And over here I'm just adding these cornerstones at the base as well. I'm going to extend the pathway a little bit. I wanted it to go around the church and have it go down over here so you can actually reach a church entrance. I couldn't really get the stairs to match up, so I decided to move it over one space. Because I can't raise the terrain anymore, I'm using these black tar roof tiles to like make a bottom for a plant bin. So over here I'm making a fence to fence off like the planter and the garden, so to speak. So here is just filling up this this garden area of the church to hide the roof tiles as much as I can. And it gives some more greenery to the villages again. Because I'm using so many elevated paths, it's pretty hard to get some nice foliage around this village. So when I have an opportunity to make like a garden like this, I'm trying to use it to the full extent. And it turned out looking pretty good. So here I'm making the edge of this garden and make sure I'm trying to have the garden have like 2 different height levels as well. I wanted to have like a big door because churches have big doors usually, and make the grass a little bit greener as well. I wanted to make like a small garden at the front gate as well, but I wasn't really sure what fences to use. And I used these ones at first, but I did not really like the way they looked. And I decided to just use the wooden beams again to make like a fencing myself again. Because this will keep to the style I was using at the other part of the garden, and it looks pretty good, so why not, you know? So I finally have the opportunity to connect the pathways again, and the village is complete now, the complete layout of the village. All there's left to do is just add more details to the houses around the village. And then it's like, yeah, then it's finished, then it's done. This blue house is a very small house and I wasn't really sure what to do with this. I wanted it to have like a stone door, but if you use the stucco doors, which are available in game, the colors of the stone turn a different color as well, so I don't like that. But what I did now was it ended up looking pretty good, so. So that ended up looking pretty nice. I'm really satisfied with that part of this town. This is where I replaced the information booth with a pizza place. It's very hard to choose these signs because all the signs in this game are so big, and I wish there were a few smaller sized signs because the in your face style is not always what I'm looking for, if you know what I mean. This is what I mean, all the big signs, and this was like the only sign that's pretty decent inside. The downside about creating a whole village in the same style is that at a certain point you run out of IDs, and you keep repeating what you've already done before. And even though it doesn't necessarily look bad, it feels like you're repeating yourself over and over. Because I wanted to avoid that, I had like issues with choosing how to build certain things in this village. But at a certain point I was like, you know what, screw it, it looks good anyway, so why not just build it the way I built the rest of the city, because you have to like stay true to the theme you're using, so it's not that weird or something to repeat things you've used in other buildings over and over. So over here I'm quickly making a small pier, and this is very different than the one I did on the other side of the lake, because that was really an opportunity to sit down and eat. But over here it's just up here with a bench and a bin where you can just look out over the water. It's not too much interesting. So here's why I'm adding the top parts of every wall in the village, because it just gives that little bit of extra look to everything. So I'm just trying to use this as much as possible, especially on walls that are very empty and more used as separation between two sides or something, you know. And to give this area a little bit more extra touch, I chose to place these mermaid statues on each side of the pier. Because this village is like a village situated alongside a lake, so it wouldn't be weird to imagine that that it's like a fisherman's village or something. So statues of mermaids and stuff are not like a weird thing to have in a village like this. I wanted to have like big custom windows for this house. It just looked good because I wanted to have something different at the water side. Because all the windows along the water are the same, so I decided to try something else here, and it ended up looking pretty good. I really like the result of this one. And then we're off to the final two buildings, finishing them up and adding some more details to the two buildings on the left. So this was a very small wall and I wasn't really sure what to do with it, and I thought I'll make an arrow with the pizza sign for the pizzas to the left, but it didn't look so good, so I decided to just leave that wall empty. I tried to see if there's like a poster which can fit on this wall, but it was way too big, so I decided to skip on that. And here I'm adding a drink stall in the same style as the pizza stall to the left. And I decided to make a third booth, like an information booth on the corner, but it didn't fit and I'm not really sure why. Probably because there's a pathway in the way or something, so I decided to skip on that because it doesn't fit anyway. So it's hard to place something if you can't. So just finishing up the details of this building, making a small balcony over here, and I wasn't really sure what to do with this big plain wall, so I'm just going to repeat myself again. And once again the signs are way too big and they don't have a small sign for the drink stall, but that's okay because the house is bigger there anyway, so it's nice to have a big sign fill up the place every now and then, but sometimes you just need smaller signs. It's time to finish up this last building. And I decided to make this building have a small balcony as well on this corner, and the rest will be just normal roofs. Adding a few quick windows, and I decided to make this building have white painted windows. Looks pretty nice because the white and the blue just match very well. I wanted to build a door here, but then I noticed there's like a big door to the right. So I decided to make a small planter instead with a window. And that's about it for this episode. I'm going to skip to the live part and show you guys what we've built in this episode. So let's go over the parts we've built in this episode. First of all, I finished this whole village and it ended up looking really nice. I'm really satisfied with the total end result of the village. First of all, I'll go over the buildings I forgot to record. Over here there's a small building in a balcony with 2 benches, and it's really just a place where a guest can sit down. And even though I haven't built anything to interact for the guest over here, this bench is close enough for people to sit on the bench, so they are using this bench. Over here I have a few more buildings, and I really like how this one turned out. I've used these electric wires like going from this building to this building. I might add some more over the town later, but for now it looks pretty good in my opinion. Down here we have the toilets. I don't mind seeing these like tile walls over here, because in toilets you do have these walls, and I can cover them up with normal walls, but I'm not bothered too much by it. If you guys are, just leave it in the comments and I'll keep that in mind for in the future and cover the walls up. This is one part I really like about the village, how I use different height levels throughout the whole village to give the village some more dynamic. And this is a part that really turned out pretty well, like this upper level with a nice big tree on here. None of the guests will interact with this pier because there's nothing to do here, and that's kind of sad. It's the same thing over here with the old pier, the old part of the park. Because there's nothing over here except for benches, people will not go here just to sit down, they will rather continue their way. And the same thing will happen over here. It's kind of sad, and its function is mainly just to make things look nice. Over here I've added these 2 mermaid statues, and I think they fit the village really well, because this village is situated by the lake, so you can imagine like this being a fisherman's village. And over here I've built a flat ride, a trail ride. I forgot its name. I'm not really satisfied with the colors. I'm not really sure how to fix that. I can recolor the ride, but these lights over here stay green, so I thought if the ride has green lights, I might as well keep the whole ride green, because otherwise the green would be kind of weird. If you guys have any ideas what to do with this ride, then I'm glad to hear them, because as I said, I'm not really sure what to do. I think I'm just leaving it green because it matches the trees and stuff a bit. I'm not sure. And over here is the last part of the village, the exit building of the ride. It's kind of connected to the clock tower, but this is the main entrance for the clock tower. It gives like a church-like feel, a big door and some windows. And this garden has 2 levels, and I still have to fill this up with plants before it's really finished, but you guys get the idea of what's going on over here. And the backside is for the next episode. I've not really done anything over here yet except place a queue line like this. So that will be the next step in this project. Anyways guys, thanks for watching. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. You can hit the subscribe button to stay up to date. And I hope to see you in the next one. See ya!